Ancient civilizations built structures we can't replicate today. They had medical knowledge we're just rediscovering. They knew things that science is just now proving. What else did they know that we've forgotten? I'm Michael, and today I'm revealing ancient secrets that modern science has finally validated. Knowledge that was dismissed as primitive, but turns out to be genius. Stay until the end because the ancient astronomical discovery I'll reveal will blow your mind. The concrete that lasts 2,000 years. Let's start with something that will make civil engineers lose their minds. Roman concrete is better than modern concrete. Modern concrete crumbles after 50 years, especially in seawater. Roman concrete has survived 2,000 years in harsh ocean conditions and is actually getting stronger over time. Scientists finally discovered why in 2017. The Romans mixed volcanic ash with lime and seawater. When seawater seeps into cracks, it reacts with the volcanic ash to create new mineral crystals that actually heal the cracks and strengthen the structure. Modern concrete doesn't do this. It just cracks and weakens. We lost this knowledge for 100 years, and we're only now figuring out how they did it. The Romans built the Pantheon in 126 AD. It has the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world, bigger than the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, and it's still standing, still waterproof, still perfect after nearly 2,000 years. We couldn't build this today without steel reinforcement. They did it with ancient technology and knowledge we somehow forgot. Surgery. In 3000 BC. Ancient Egyptians were performing brain surgery 5,000 years ago, and they were good at it. The Edwin Smith papyrus, written around 1600 BC, but copying knowledge from 3000 BC, contains detailed surgical procedures, including trepanation, drilling holes in the skull to relieve pressure. Archaeologists have found skulls with these surgical holes where the bone shows signs of healing, meaning the patient survived. We're talking about successful brain surgery 5,000 years ago with copper tools and no anesthesia except maybe opium. Ancient Indians performed cataract surgery 3,000 years ago. The Sushruta Samhita, an ancient Sanskrit text, describes techniques for removing cataracts that are remarkably similar to modern methods. They perform plastic surgery, including rhinoplasty, nose reconstruction. Techniques described in these ancient texts are the foundation of modern plastic surgery. The ancient Chinese were using anesthesia made from plants like hemp and aconitum for surgery. They had a doctor named Hua Tuo in the 2nd century AD who was performing complex surgeries with these anesthetics. We thought ancient people were primitive, but turns out they were performing complex medical procedures that we didn't rediscover until the 1800s.
The Antikythera mechanism ancient computer. In 1901, divers found a corroded bronze device in a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera. It sat in a museum for decades before anyone realized what it was. This device, built around 100 BC, is an ancient astronomical computer. It has over 30 bronze gears that track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. It predicts eclipses. It displays the Olympic Games schedule. The level of engineering sophistication is insane. We didn't see gears this complex again until medieval clockmakers in the 1300s, over 1,000 years later. Modern scientists used X-ray imaging and 3D modeling to reverse engineer it. They're still discovering new functions. It's like finding a smartphone in an ancient Greek shipwreck, technology that shouldn't exist for that time period. This means ancient Greeks had mechanical computing capabilities we didn't think were possible. What other technology did they have that we lost? Acoustics that defy explanation. Ancient amphitheaters in Greece and Rome have acoustics so perfect that modern acoustic engineers can't explain how they achieved it. At the theater of Epidaurus in Greece, built in the 4th century BC, you can hear a whisper from the stage at the top row 60 meters away. Modern research showed that the limestone seats filter out low-frequency background noise while amplifying the actors' voices. This creates a signal-to-noise ratio better than modern speakers. They did this without electronics, without computers. just stone and mathematical genius. The Mayan pyramid at Chichen Itza does something even weirder. Clap your hands at the base and it echoes back sounding like a quetzal bird, sacred in Mayan culture. They engineered this acoustic effect into the architecture deliberately. Stand in the temple of Kukulkan and speak normally. Your voice is amplified and projected to huge distances. Modern acoustic experts have studied this for years and still can't fully explain the mathematics involved. Ancient batteries that shouldn't exist. In 1936, archaeologists found clay jars near Baghdad that contained copper cylinders and iron rods. These artifacts, dated to around 200 BC, are essentially ancient batteries. When scientists filled replicas with vinegar or acidic fruit juice, they generated over 1 volt of electricity. The big question? What were they using electricity for 2,000 years ago? Some researchers think they were electroplating, using electricity to coat objects with gold or silver. Ancient artifacts have been found with plating that's too even and perfect to be explained by any known ancient technique except electroplating. This technology was completely forgotten and had to be reinvented in 1800. How much other ancient electrical knowledge was lost? Astronomical knowledge beyond belief. The Nebra sky disk, found in Germany and dated to 1600 BC, is the oldest known depiction of the cosmos. It shows the sun, moon, stars, and most impressively, the Pleiades star cluster. But here's what's wild. It also has markers showing the summer and winter solstices with mathematical precision. Bronze Age people had sophisticated astronomical knowledge we didn't think was possible. The Mayan pyramid at Chichen Itza does something even weirder. Clap your hands at the base and it echoes back sounding like a quetzal bird, sacred in Mayan culture. They engineered this acoustic effect into the architecture deliberately. Stand in the temple of Kukulkan and speak normally. Your voice is amplified and projected to huge distances. Modern acoustic experts have studied this for years and still can't fully explain the mathematics involved. The Mayans calculated the length of the solar year as 365.2420 days. Modern calculations put it at 365.2422 days. They were off by 0.2 days without telescopes or modern math. The Damascus steel mystery. Damascus steel swords from the medieval Islamic world were legendary.
They were incredibly strong, held incredibly sharp edges, and had distinctive wavy patterns. The secret of making true Damascus steel was lost around 1750 AD. Modern metallurgists tried for 250 years to recreate it and failed. They finally succeeded in the 90s using electron microscopy and nanotechnology. Turns out Damascus steel contained carbon nanotubes. Yes, nanotubes created by the forging process. Ancient smiths were accidentally creating nanomaterials 500 years before we even knew atoms existed. The swords also contained trace amounts of vanadium, tungsten, and other elements that created structures at the molecular level. Ancient smiths achieved this through trial, error, and secret techniques passed down through generations. We needed electron microscopes and advanced material science to understand what they were doing. They did it by feel and experience. Ancient earthquake-proof architecture. The ancient Chinese invented earthquake-resistant architecture over 100 years ago. The secret? Dogong, interlocking wooden brackets that act like shock absorbers during earthquakes. These brackets flex and absorb the movement, preventing the structure from collapsing. Modern engineers are now copying this ancient technique for earthquake-resistant buildings. The system is so effective that it's being integrated into modern skyscrapers in earthquake zones. Japanese pagodas use similar techniques and have survived earthquakes for over 1,000 years. Modern seismic engineers study these ancient buildings to improve current designs. The ancient Incas built stone walls using massive blocks fitted together so precisely that you can't fit a knife blade between them, and they did it without mortar. These walls have survived massive earthquakes that destroyed Spanish colonial buildings built on top of them. Medical knowledge we're rediscovering. Ancient Egyptians used honey to treat wounds. Modern medicine dismissed this as superstition. Then, scientists discovered that honey has powerful antibacterial properties and promotes healing. Hospitals now use medical-grade honey for treating resistant infections. Traditional Chinese acupuncture was mocked by Western medicine for decades. Recent studies show it triggers specific neurological responses and can be effective for pain management. We still don't fully understand how it works, but it does work. Ancient Ayurvedic medicine from India used turmeric for inflammation. Modern science has now isolated curcumin, the active compound, and confirmed it has powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Willow bark was used for thousands of years to treat pain and fever. This is where aspirin came from. Scientists isolated the active compound and synthesized it. How many other ancient remedies work that we've dismissed without testing? The ancient internet signal networks. The ancient Greeks had a sophisticated communication network using signal fires that could transmit messages across hundreds of miles in hours. They developed a binary coding system using fire torches to spell out letters. This is essentially an ancient telegraph system that worked centuries before Morse code. The Roman Empire had signal towers every few miles that could relay messages across the entire empire in days. Modern research shows this network was more extensive and sophisticated than previously believed. The Inca had a messenger system called chasqui, where runners worked in relay, covering vast distances across mountainous terrain faster than horses could. They maintained this network across thousands of miles of the most difficult terrain on Earth. These weren't primitive systems, they were sophisticated communication networks that required engineering, training, and maintenance. What this means, every year, scientists discover that ancient people knew things we thought they couldn't possibly know. Every year we find that technology we thought was recent actually existed thousands of years ago. This suggests two possibilities. Either ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we give them credit for, or there were even older civilizations that passed down knowledge we don't have records of. Either way, it's humbling. We're not as smart or advanced as we think we are. We're just rediscovering knowledge that existed long before us. Ancient people weren't primitive, they were brilliant observers, experimenters, and engineers who developed sophisticated knowledge through generations of accumulated wisdom. Modern science is finally validating what ancient people knew all along. The question is, what else did they know that we still haven't rediscovered? If this fascinated you, subscribe, because we're diving deeper into lost ancient knowledge that modern science is just confirming. Comment which ancient secret shocked you most, and what other ancient mysteries do you want me to investigate? Next up, back to medieval life, the punishment methods you won't believe existed. Ancient wisdom isn't obsolete, it's just waiting to be remembered.